All right, Warriors, my name is Coach JB, and I wanted to bring this video to you guys as quick as I could. I was coaching all morning, but this video is so important. Now, this is a FinTech assessment public launch by the World Economic Forum. Now, this went live this morning. It's been up for 6 hours. Now, I want you to rationalize this. There's about 7 billion people in the world, and only 1,600 people have watched this video. 7 billion people in the world, and only 1,600 people have watched this video. What I'm proving to you is the narrative is this way, as the biggest shift in generational wealth is happening this way. The word fintech is financial technology. We are moving to the new quantum financial system. And this whole video is based on a survey they did. And it's going to share with you keys on how quickly we are moving to the new quantum financial system, to a digital age, to central bank digital currencies. And the beautiful thing about it, Warriors, you can be part of it. So my name is Coach JV. I am the top health and mindset coach in the world. What you believe in your heart, you think in your mind, will eventually become your words and become your reality. Now, if all this is like foreign language and super confusing for you, today is Cyber Monday. And if you're watching this in the future, you can still click the link down below. But Cyber Monday, we are giving away the farm. If you go down, you can click the Warrior Academy. I put everything in a nice little box for you. We work out with you live daily. We do your nutrition, mindset coaching, subconscious mind programming around wealth, and I show my exact portfolio and exactly how I'm managing to exactly what I'm showing you right here. I'm not a financial advisor, none of it's financial advice, but I show you my portfolio and exactly what I'm doing. You can do your own research. I give you all the tools and techniques. I teach you what GDP is. What does money mean? If you know the game, you can't be played worse. So I'm going to skip around. This is probably going to be pretty boring for you guys, but I'm telling you, you need to get used to understanding the boring stuff, Warriors. Now I'm going to jump around. I'll be looking over here because I have times on this video. We're not going to watch the 1 hour and 37-minute video. I will attach it down below for your viewing pleasure. But what I do is I break down in simplistic terms what they're saying. So you're going to see me hopping around in the video. I'll be looking over here because I wrote down times and I wrote down a ton of notes because this is what I do. I watch these videos over and over again and I write notes and key factors. That's how I do my investments based on what the World Economic Forum is saying. They already did the Great Reset. They called the Great Reset last year. The economy crashed in 2008. It has not been fixed. You are moving to the new quantum financial system, whether you believe it or not, and they're packaging it up in this nice little package called the pandemic, the C word. And that's how they're going to move you quickly and rapidly, and you're going to accept it because there's problem, reaction, solution. Those who create the problem get a reaction, and they're going to come up with the solution. And a lot of people like us, well, not a lot of people, very few part of the population are invested on the other side of it. So I'm going to share with you the breakdown of this. So I'm going to jump around to different sections here, but I want to show you this is the World Economic Forum. This is the FinTech assessment of public launch. So let me show you some stuff real quick. Okay, so if you see me jumping around quite a bit, I'm going to show you a little couple pieces here. So here's the intro page to it. So it says welcome, excuse me. Let's go back real quick. So it says welcome to the public launch of the Global C-Word 19 FinTech Market Rapid Assessment Study. Now I'm going to jump around to different time frames, okay, just so you can hear these different things that they're saying, unless you want to watch the whole thing by yourself, okay? All right, so go ahead and listen in.
Developing economies. COVID-19 highlights the urgency to understand what is happening on the ground, where digital means could be the only viable option for many people to make or receive a payment, access savings, get insurance, or raise capital. In this context, we're very grateful for a continued partnership with World Bank Group and our deepening collaboration on fintech market and regulatory research. We're thankful for the foresight and leadership of Caroline, Anderson, Mahesh, and especially Anna. We also want to thank the UK Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office for its foundational funding and generous support, as well as the contribution made by the Ministry of Finance of Luxembourg. We thank all of the research team, as well as the contributors and reviewers for their incredibly hard work and dedication. Finally, and most importantly, to all the fintech firms who graciously took time out of their busy schedule under the most extraordinary circumstances to participate in our research.
Okay, so what they did is they did a massive survey with fintech companies. Well, why are they doing this survey during the pandemic? Shouldn't they be focused on the C word, right? What they're rapidly doing is figuring out how quickly they can move us into the new quantum financial system, which they've already done. So I'm going to be skipping around here. I want you to listen for key words, okay? So financial inclusion, and then listen to this as it comes up. I'll stop the video and I'm going to narrate this as it goes along, so I'm sure you're not going to watch the whole video.
As well as more than 100 fintech industry partners who supported our survey. We thank you very much indeed. This report is for you, and we hope you will find it timely and useful. Thank you. And I will now pass the virtual mic to Anderson Caputo Silva, Practice Manager at the World Bank Group, to deliver his opening remarks.
Listen.
Thank you very much, Brian, Matthew. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all. Fintech has shown its potential to close gaps in the delivery of critical financial services to households and firms alike in emerging markets and developing economies with significant financial inclusion impact. The COVID-19 pandemic is likely to accelerate the use of fintech as it facilitates the remote provision of financial services. However, fintech firms comprise a wide taxonomy of firms that deliver very different financial services based on different business models, from mobile money to digital payment solutions, lending and capital raising platforms, to fintechs that provide supporting services such as credit scoring or digital ID solutions. Thus, for the World Bank Group, it's critical to gain a deeper understanding of the impact of the pandemic across different verticals and also across regions in order to better tailor the advice that it provides to country authorities.
Okay, so you can't tell me that this wasn't planned out. You can't tell me. They keep using C word, pandemic, when they've been researching this, but they're wrapping it up in a nice little bucket to say, hey, listen, here's how we're moving you to the new asset class. There hasn't been a new asset class since the 1600s, and people are going to sit back and not believe any of it, and all of a sudden they're going to wake up, and everything you're going to be doing is on a blockchain. Everything you're going to be doing on a blockchain. So I'm going to jump around quite a bit here. I'm going to try to nail these times right on target here. So I got to get to 3:57. Give me one moment. I just don't want you guys to have to sit through the whole thing here. Okay.
A very interesting presentation discussion of the survey results. Thank you.
Anderson, thank you very much for those remarks, and Brian as well. So we are going to roll up our sleeves now and go through some of the key findings of the survey and the subsequent report that will come out over the coming days. We have two individuals with us here that have been seeped in this process from the get-go and very well versed in the outcomes of the survey. So first we have Mary Emma Barton, who's a research and analysis specialist at the World Economic Forum. And we have Tanya Ziegler, lead of global benchmarking for the Cambridge Center for Alternative Finance. I turn it over to you in your capable hands to walk us through some of the key findings here. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Matthew. As Matthew mentioned, my name is Mary Emma, and I'm going to walk you through some of the high-level findings and empirical data from the FinTech assessment. But before we get into the weeds and look at the data, we wanted to take a quick moment to reiterate the goals of the study. This research really had three goals. First, we wanted to figure out the impact of the global pandemic on FinTech markets. We really sought to understand how FinTechs are performing based on their operating model and jurisdiction, among other criteria. Second, we studied the responses of these organizations in shifting their products and operations throughout the pandemic. We wanted to know how these companies are dealing with remote working measures in a more digitized economy.
Okay, I want to stop right there. So she goes through all these different charts. If you want to watch it, they break it down. It's all for FinTech, guys. Companies now are going to operate from home. Amazon is still at home. Facebook is still at home. Google is still at home. All these companies are still at home. The way you work is going to be completely different, Warriors. The pandemic is the box, the little wrapped up present to keep you locked down, to make you use your phone, Warriors. So let me skip forward to 2021. You can watch this stuff yourself if you want. I urge you, I know this is boring stuff, guys, but this stuff could change your life if you're on the investment side of it, Warriors. This is how I do my investments. This is how I think, Warriors. So bear with me as I move around this. I'm trying to make it as palatable as possible for you guys so you'll stay on board.
There's a direct correlation between strict lockdowns and the increased adoption of FinTech services.
Let me play that one more time.
assigned each of our respondents with the corresponding rating for
Listen to
highlight
that.
here.
Listen to what she said. Watch.
Next slide.
Right here.
Next slide. As you can see here, we also looked at fintech performance by COVID-19 lockdown stringency. To determine this, we leveraged the Oxford COVID-19 Government Response Tracker, which rated countries on lockdown measures, taking into account factors such as restrictions on mobility and school closings.
Restriction on mobility and school closings. Listen to this.
In this analysis, we assigned each of our respondents with the corresponding rating from Oxford and created 3 equal quantiles of fintech firms. This allowed us to create a policy proxy for severity of lockdown. As you can see, we did see the largest increase in transactions by both volume and number, with markets in the greatest lockdown measures.
So if we lock you down, we can roll in our fintech. I told you guys the lockdowns are coming. I told you guys the lockdowns are coming. She just said the greater countries with the hardest lockdowns were able to roll out fintech. This is all planned out. When you know the game, you can't be played, Warriors.
The higher the COVID-19 stringency, the higher the adoption of fintech services.
The higher the C word astringencies, the higher the fintech usage. Your lockdowns are coming, baby.
The increased adoption is not necessarily caused by the pandemic, but there is a direct correlation between strict lockdowns and the increased adoption of fintech services.
So it's not caused by the C word, but it's caused by you being locked down. So you're going to see the school shut down again. You're going to see countries shut down, states shut down, and they're going to be forced to lock you down so that you can transition to new quantum financial system. You could be on the other side of this, Warriors. I'm not showing you technical analysis in the cryptocurrencies. I'm showing you facts, figures, numbers, logic to be able to get yourself on the right side of this so you can create generational wealth for your family. All right, let's skip ahead. This stuff is really boring, but this is what I do all freaking day, and this is how I make my investments. I'll continue to say that. Not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice. So now we're going to go around 43 minutes, and they're going to talk about a couple things that are really, really going to hopefully open up your mind. So I'll go as best as I can to get you the right spot. Here we go.
Process of getting one of these products or services off the ground, which is sort of a remarkable fact on its own. What have been some of the developments in products and services during the COVID environment that fintechs have offered? What have you seen that's new and original, Blake, from your vantage point?
So the answer is a lot of things, a lot of change. But before I jump into that, I want to add to Anna's prior comment, which is that in the United States, not typically referred to as a less developed economy or an emerging market, it's estimated that there remain about 55 million people, or 22% approximately of the population, that are either completely unbanked or underbanked. And so the implications of what has been happening.
Okay, that's important. What they realized during this pandemic and lockdown is that 22%, even in emerging markets like America, 22% people are unbanked. So what does that mean? They want all of you banked. They want all of you on the blockchain. They want to be able to observe everything, Warriors. There's a lot of unbanked people that they want to see their money. They want the taxes. But you can benefit from that being on the investment side.
During the COVID era, in terms of very rapid acceleration of digital adoption, has 2 potential consequences that we need to think about. One is whether easier access to digital financial services helps address that segment of the population by lowering the costs and barriers to entry, or whether actually it might exacerbate.
Got to listen to word. Lowering cost and barrier to entry. XRP, XLM.
Problem because of lack of digital inclusion and digital integration into society, for example, due to lack of access to high bandwidth internet, mobile and other computer devices. I don't have a good answer to that question, and I suspect that there are some that are being more left behind, and there are others that are being helped by the developments. I would say that obviously, the high level observation is that COVID-19 has accelerated digital adoption across the board, not just by consumers, although we'll see it by consumers when our grandparents are suddenly shopping online for the first time, but also by enterprise. And the impact of that has been probably to bring forward by at least 5 years, some would say more like 10, the degree of digital adoption that was already a very well-established trend pre to COVID, but certainly has been sped up due to...
Did you hear that? So basically she said what we were projecting in 5 years to 10 years has been crunched into right now, and here's why, Warriors. They can't keep printing money. They can't operate like this. The only way to fix the economy and fix what they did, how bad they messed up, is to reset the whole economy, the great reset. Reset your economy to a digital economy because now they have the control again. Now they'll have the control again. The digital economy is where we need to go because we're on an archaic banking system. But the digital economy is not to benefit you. It's to get them out of the trouble that they're in. They can't fix the economy. The car has crashed. They got Band-Aids on it, and you are going to suffer from it if you don't activate.
To lack of alternatives and having more time on hands, and due to the operational challenges created by working from home and the like. Three of the most impacted sectors, which showed up in your survey, have been payments, lending, and wealth management.
All operating on blockchains now. Let's skip ahead. You guys can watch this whole video on your own. Now let me go to a very, very critical part, and we only got a couple more. Bear with me. If you're a warrior, you'll stay all the way through. This stuff is really important. Okay, I just wanted to break this down. Okay, let's get right into the right spot here, and let's see.
The consequences of their of the environment are on their portfolios, with higher write-downs, greater difficulty in procuring capital and financing themselves. So real bifurcation between those that are using digital engagement channels, both to connect with customers and, more importantly, to assess their credit worthiness versus those that are not. So those would be the three big areas that I would point to in terms of new product innovations and responses to the changing environment.
Blythe, thank you very much. A terrific perspective there. I want to come back to the stickiness of this digital adoption point that you made, and specifically, Bob, I know you've done a lot of work around digital payments, particularly mobile money, and we've seen considerable increases in transactions in the digital space there. Do you foresee this as being a permanent shift in the way that people transact? And if you were to provide a recommendation, many of the people watching here run firms that are heavily involved in this space, what would be your suggestion for fintech firms to retain this client base that has been so prominently growing over the last 10 plus months here?
Well, I think it's hard to argue with the points that both Blythe and Anna have made regarding this not being a temporary shift. So I'm not going to kind of get into kind of why that might or might not be. I think the direction of travel here is pretty clear for everyone.
Boom. Not a temporary shift. Jerome Powell said you are not coming back to the same economy. Words matter, Warriors. It is not a temporary shift as he grins. Look at his face. He grins. Jerome Powell said you are not coming back to the same economy. If you're still watching this, you're a true warrior. The Canadian Prime Minister said you are not going back to the same economy. You are not going back to the same economy, Warriors.
I think it's important to understand, though, really what's driving it, because the aversion to cash created kind of this window of opportunity for the behavior shift, right? You had people shifting preferences. Okay, so COVID created a window of opportunity to shift preferences. But that's not the only thing that was going on. That shift in preferences was supported, as we've seen in the data, by some regulatory moves. I mean, look, I think everybody realizes that when Libra showed up, every regulator and every central banker had to kind of rethink their whole approach to payments. Basically, Facebook, Libra rocked the regulation industry. They came in and said, we're launching our Libra coin, a Facebook digital. They're like, we got to move quickly. Our governments are so far behind, or the narrative they say, they're accelerating 10 years forward into a couple months, Warriors. That was a big moment. And it's still going on, right? And Libra may appear. So that's going to have a huge
Did you hear how you said that? Libra may appear. It's coming, Warriors.
impact, because it gets at the third factor, which is, I think, this very important shift to the horizontalization of financial services, or the embeddedness, particularly of consumer financial services in other verticals. If we think about kind of the S&P 500 and classification of tech firms, which were the tech firms in that classification 5 years ago, a lot of them aren't classified as tech anymore. Why? Because tech is embedded in everything. And so a lot of those firms that were formerly known as tech are reclassified as communication firms today in the S&P 500. Now, you take a look at finance and you start to think, as Blythe pointed out, I'm making a purchase and I have an offer of a loan. And the payments being facilitated, the loans being facilitated, but it's an e-commerce provider that's doing it. And so as you start to see this embeddedness emerge, if I was running a firm today, a mobile money, whatever operation, I would be thinking about a world in which payments are free.
Boom. Payments are free. XRP. You can transfer $50 million for 30 cents. They're giving us the answer, Warriors.
Because that becomes the challenge. Part of the driver here in growth, as we pointed out in the data, is significant number of firms have reduced their fees. And when COVID's finished, you're not going to be able to raise, realistically, you can't raise fees.
So they're signaling, saying that banks, that's a signal to say they need cheap cross-border payments. XRP, XLM. XRP is for the banks, XLM is for us.
So you have to drive volume. But even driving volume may not be enough if someone else is prepared to give away the payment because it's part of a platform strategy. They're looking at this more holistically in the payment with respect to a broader service offering.
So basically what they're saying in the financial world is XRP, in my opinion, we're bridging all the banks together, providing a service so that people will use the bank, and then they offer a broader service, auto loans. In banking, when I was in banking as executive banker, checking account was a loss leader. The payments platform is a loss leader to bring you in to get your other products or services. All right, I'm going to move to a really important part. I know I'm probably losing quite a few people, but this one, I hope you stayed because this one's going to rock you. Listen to what she says. I about shit my pants, excuse me. All right, ready?
We did see is that in many emerging markets, and Peru, Colombia, the and firms, we're seeing at least are realizing and are
have on is 15% year over year among fintechs.
Okay, get ready, Ward.
How do you think cyber risk has changed in this pandemic period? And do you see this perception of risk continuing to grow among the fintech cluster?
Yeah, so this was a really relevant insight from the report that the perceptions of cyber risk are increasing. And certainly, also on the policy side, we've been concerned that cyber risks may rise as organizations move to...
Okay, this is where I want to be right here. Okay, this is where I want to be. Sorry, wrong spot. Here we go. Bear with me.
Your security environment around such things, everything ranging from, how do you address them in your will, to the vulnerabilities that you incur day to day life. I also don't think it's a coincidence that, one of the most recent, newly minted unicorn status firms is Chainalysis, an enterprise blockchain firm that is specializing in essentially helping governments and financial firms and exchanges and institutional investors and others essentially defend and prepare for a world in which digital engagement is in a whole new league.
Who's she talking about right there? A private sector? Would that be XRP?
So I think it's an area also where regulators are playing catch up.
This is important.
And where many of the traditional consumer financial protection frameworks that exist need careful revision and don't necessarily all adequately fit the new world order. So
don't adequately fit the new world order. I'm just going to stop right there, warriors. If this hasn't woken you up, if you made it this far, you're a true warrior. It is time to wake up. We are moving rapidly towards a quantum financial system. More millionaires and more billionaires are going to be created within the next year. It's the biggest shift in generational wealth, warriors. I'm just going to leave it right there. The link will be below to watch the whole video. This is what I do all day for my warriors. I research, I bring the information back. So if you want to join the Warrior Academy, today is Cyber Monday. We're doing a huge deal. Click the link down below. Join the Warrior Academy. You're going to get to work out with me daily, nutrition, mindset coaching, subconscious mind programming around wealth. You get to look at my exact portfolio as I manage in the quantum financial system. I'm heavily vested in XRP, XLM. I show my portfolio on a weekly basis. I'm not a financial advisor. None of it's financial advice, but I teach my warriors the game so they can never be played. Let's go. Warriors, rise. Let's go.